Welcome to this video. That's the end goal. That is the end goal. So in the previous video, we explored what inhibits testosterone, those two pathways. And we saw that, there's a lot we can do to move in the opposite direction. So in this one, I'm going to show you the three things that waste testosterone and also DHEA. And they further inhibit it. And we already know why testosterone is extraordinarily important for both men and women. And Dr. Anthony J also spoke to how you can take if you're a dude, you can take your 400, 500 testosterone and double it to 800, 900 in as little as 6 weeks. These hardworking scientists are giving us the insights and the tools to achieve that result. And again, the only three things that waste testosterone and turn it into that female hormone, E2 estradiol. I'm also going to show you why omega hormones are so important. And remember, we spoke to in the previous video how it clamps testosterone production. So if your God-given ability is, say, 900, maybe you'll be producing 500 or 600. Are you okay with that? Do you want to fix these omega hormones? So I'll speak to those towards the end. And they actually speed up wasting of testosterone. I'll show you that research. So to get into this, I'm gonna draw a schematic, and just to show you where we're up to in my coaching. So we've covered the guys are here. Actually, I'll just change that out. We've covered the guys are here. We've covered the clamps, which was testosterone in the coal mine, and now we're up to the wasters. So this is pillar 2 in the coaching. So you can see that system 2 has 6 pillars, extraordinarily important. So this is cleaning out the 5 main hormonal systems and getting the body capable of producing high natural levels of testosterone and DHEA, but also endorphins and feel-good hormones. And there's only 3 pillars around here for mindset tweaks. And pillar number 7 here is about getting you quick wins. So it gets positive feedback to the brain very quickly. So you're driven to do this, and it can happen as quick as 5 to 7 days. So the next, what we're going to talk about is the wasters here. And I'm going to draw out a little schematic of that. So let me just change that over here. So we've already talked about the clamps. So this is all about the things that waste DHEA and testosterone. And when that's happening, we're producing more estradiol, the female hormone. And I'll show you the research behind that very shortly. So the wasters. Now, as we know, testosterone and DHEA produce a high growth index for a stress response. Kelly McGonigal, so I'll just refresh your memory, superior military performance. What that means for you and I is we're going to kick ass in the gym. You're going to lift the weights, get stronger, and easily walk around with a lean physique. And so you feel desirable, you've got energy, and you want to take, you want to go to the gym, you get up in the morning, you've got the energy to go. Physical success, military success, so problem solving. So, we can get our ideas out of our brain and start working with them and conceptualizing them and really taking our entrepreneurship to the next level, if that's what you want to do. And academic success, so it's ticking all the right boxes. But we've got to have it locked in continually to achieve those results. So you might be like me, someone with really bad genetics, or you might have average genetics. And this is where most people, screw up, because you can't, you've got stress hormones too high or inflammation. As I continue to say, these stress hormones harbor negative emotion like self-doubt, putting things off, addiction and shit like that, which we don't want. So we know that there's 2 pathways to producing testosterone. Now, pathway number 1 has 5 layers of clamps. So we have 5 layers of clamps. And as I spoke to in the previous video, Testosterone the Coal Mine, how to increase testosterone naturally, twofold, that you've got one clamp, arachidonyl ethanolamine, which is an omega hormone, an endocannabinoid. And I'll speak to that one in another video, I think it's the next one or it could be the one after. So arachidonyl ethanolamine. Now what that simply means for you is if this is screwed up, and don't even think about this, I'll show you how to fix this, and it's really quick and simple to do. These hard-working scientists are giving us the tools to plug this into our life, and away we go. So it will, over here, clamp, all right? It's going to clamp that pathway, inhibit the amount of testosterone you can produce naturally. Are you okay with that? Let's just say that your God-given natural testosterone levels should be at 900 nanograms per deciliter, and you're a dude. And you've got this clamped, all right? You've got that clamped. So what's going to happen? Maybe 500, maybe 600. So are you okay with that? We have to take that inhibition off, and I'll speak to that very shortly, give you the foundation of how we achieve that result. Okay, so what are the 3 things that waste testosterone and DHEA? So we've got DHEA over here, and remember, when you produce enough of it, it puts it into a bank called DHEAS. So you can use your mindset to produce more DHEA and testosterone throughout the day as you need it. The body deems DHEA that critically important, but it won't do that when these 3 things that I'm about to reveal to you are true. So remember, DHEA gets worked on and can be worked on and turned into testosterone. But it can be further worked on when these 3 things are happening, or just one of these 3 things that I'm about to reveal to you. It can turn it into the female hormone, E2, estradiol. And we don't want that. Do you want that to happen? I certainly don't. So what are these 3 things? 1 and a 2 and a 3. So here we go. The third one is going to be no surprise. All right, happy dude, and I'll speak to that shortly. So, oxidative stress. All right, any kind of oxidative stress that your body isn't dealing with is going to waste testosterone and DHEA and turn it into, yes, estradiol, E2. Now, the next one, anything that activates your estrogen receptors, either naturally or artificially, and there's sometimes that this should happen, certainly, but a lot of times this is happening and it should not be happening. Now the important thing to understand here is that in 1 short hour you can crush your testosterone. They've shown this in studies, and I'll show you where to access this study and many more like them. So when your estrogen receptors are tapped on, and tapped on unnecessarily by, remember we spoke to this in the previous video, these estrogen-like endocrine disrupting chemicals. So you're a smart dude or a smart dudette, a chick, and you know that these chemicals shouldn't be in our body. They serve no purpose but to help these companies sell their product, make it cheaper, have a longer shelf life, and make their life easier producing them. A lot of them are petroleum-based, really easy to work with. Yeah. Petroleum based, and they're in things like chewing gum. You'll be shocked at where they are. And what's the third thing? Hint. What's the third thing? When cortisol ain't happy. So now remember, cortisol and inflammation are partners. They're tag teams. So if inflammation is up because of oxidative stress, so that can happen as well, it's going to activate cortisol, and if cortisol is up, it's going to stimulate inflammation. Now there's nothing wrong with stimulating inflammation at all. You go to the gym and you hit it, you've created an inflammatory response, which is ideal, but it's a transient one, very acute, and that's exactly what's supposed to happen. But you've got this, let me just draw this here, you've got this inverted U. So if you hit it too hard, you're overtraining, that's not good. You won't grow from there, you'll feel like shit. And over here, you don't hit it hard enough, you won't stimulate the growth response. So right up the top of this curve is where you hit the appropriate growth response, and you recover from that and you feel good. You've been to the gym, you've lifted the weights, and you can use this DHEA bank here to make more testosterone with mindset and further enhance the muscle growing effect and be happy like this dude here. Yeah. So let's have a quick look at the research. So we're not going to go too deep into this, and I'm not going to get geeky or anything like that. So this research paper here shows that testosterone is converted into estradiol by an enzyme called aromatase. Now, this is only one place that it'll happen. It can happen in organ systems in your brain. It can happen in lots of different places, like your muscle, your fat cells, and different things like that, even in skin cells. So this is endothelial cells, and that is the lining, the inside lining of all your veins and your arteries. So wherever your blood goes, this is going to happen. So if you have any oxidative stress, cortisol's up too high, or inflammation, or someone's tapping down, these artificial chemicals are tapping down on your estrogen receptors, you're wasting your testosterone. Are you okay with that? So the next research paper here shows it all very quickly, how it all happens. So point number one, oxidative stress and inflammation. If they're too high, you've hit it too hard at the gym, it's not going to be a good thing. You're going to be wasting your testosterone instead of growing from it. So if your estrogen receptors are artificially activated by these estrogen-like chemicals, that's not a good thing. You're not going to be happy. You're not going to be building muscle and staying lean. But also testosterone has positive effects on how we feel. We feel more confident. We feel more optimistic. But also, and profoundly, it lowers feelings of anxiety and fear. So it's a pretty hard working hormone. So that's why we want it up to high optimal levels naturally for you, whether you're a dude or whether you're a dudette. And number three there, cortisol, right? So we don't want to overstimulate cortisol. That's why overstimulating cortisol is like chemically castrating ourselves from our good nature, from our good feelings, from positive feelings, and from muscle growth, muscle preservation, and fat loss, walking around lean all year round. So if we continue to do this, activate these three things unknowingly, it's going to be hard for us. We're going to have more negative emotion. We're going to worry about what other people think, and the thoughts we think, we become. So we're not going to be a happy dude like that dude there. Now, recall on the previous one, and I just spoke to this about arachidonylethanomine, the omega hormone, omega-6. So this research paper here shows it very clearly that administration of AEA, which is arachidonylethanomine, the omega-6 hormone, well, it turns into a hormone. So this comes in through nutrition. That's why nutrition is extraordinarily important. And when you get this right, you get balance. So for most people, they don't have balance, and they've got too much of this hormone that comes into the body, and too much of it activates where I'm circling around here, this CB1 receptor. So it decreases transcription of your sex hormone productions. Okay. Now the second part of this research paper, I'll just try and zoom into it. A consequence of intertesticular testosterone levels decrease and estradiol production increases in parallel increase of the aromatase enzyme on the previous paper, which we just spoke to. So do you see why, we'll just go back up here, that this arachidonylethanomine, I'm just going to get a red pen here, is going to clamp your body's ability to produce a lot of testosterone, but also it's going to waste a lot of it. And if your ratio is what is really high, say 50 to 1, you're going to be wasting it really quickly, continually. It's always, your testosterone's always going to be low. You're going to be producing a lot of estradiol, the female hormone. We're going to feel apathetic. We're going to be lazy. So it's not you, right? This is not your fault. I was trained as a personal trainer and I had no clue. Luckily for me, I've got mine down to this. And this isn't difficult to do, and it costs about $70 to work this out. And I'll show you how to do this later. You send away for a kit, you get a little pin that they send, you prick your finger, you put it on a piece of paper, you mail it back to them, they email you the results, and then you can start fixing this problem once and for all and have balance in these omega hormones. So, that's the current worldwide data on these omega hormones. So, again, over here, 50 to 1 ratio, 30 to 1 ratio, 20 to 1 ratio, a 10 to 1 ratio. That's not ideal. That's what these hard-working research scientists are showing us. Over here, a 2 to 1 or a 1 to 1 ratio is the butter zone. That's what our ancient genes expect and thrive at a deep hormonal level. So we're going to be happy like that. So do you see how simple this all is when you start putting it together, when you start understanding what's actually going on inside your amazing body? So when we fix this one thing alone, it's going to unclamp this pathway here, right? It's going to unclamp this pathway here, and you take off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of those clamps, then, instead of being around here or even lower, say 350, and classically trained doctors say that's okay. And Dr. Anthony J, as you learnt in the previous one, said if it's at 500, better fix it, it's a problem, right? So if you fix these two pathways, you can get it up to here. But recall in the previous video that I also said there's a third and a fourth thing that we need to do to really get the edge. And that all comes down to this here. So when we get to this part of the training, I'll show you the third and fourth thing there to really take it to the next level. And I'm not going to drive into that now. We'll just wait till we get to that part of the training. So I'm just going to scroll down a bit further just to show you one more research paper, then we'll get into the tools and the levers. So again, this clearly shows that N-arachidonylethanolamine, which is an omega-6 hormone coming in through nutrition. If you eat Western slave food, you're going to have a lot of this. Remember, back up here, this is the Western diet, gets you in the shit zone, basically. So, endocannabinoids, that's what we're talking about at the moment. So they turn into these little endocannabinoid hormones. A high omega-6 fatty acid intake leads to hyperactivity of the endocannabinoid system, whereas balance gets us back to homeostasis. So this is ideal. And remember, we need to be a 1 to 1 or a 2 to 1 ratio to achieve that result. And this bottom part of the research paper here, right? So this is where memory comes in. So we all know that cannabis users, they've got poor memory after they use. And I'm not judging anyone here. I'm not a cop. I'm not here to judge you. You can do whatever you want. If you want to do that, that's fine. I just choose not to because I'm a performance specialist. So both cannabis, which is THC, that's their nickname for it or whatever, and again, arachidonylethanolamine here, repress testosterone secretion. So again, it's clamping that KISS pathway, the second pathway that we just learnt about. Now, this is where it gets quite concerning. As a consequence, inhibitory effects on the neuroendocrine axis, which is pathway 1 of testosterone in the coal mine. So sexual behavior, go to shit. Yep, sexual behavior, we have less appetite. And sperm quality goes to shit. Yeah, that's an intentional pause. So we don't want this. This is not ideal. And all we have to do is get back to balance with these omega hormones. So right there are those two pathways. So when we fix our omega hormones, it unclamps that pathway. And when we take off the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of inhibition, when you get the plan that I would love to give to you, then where's your DHEA and testosterone going to be? What level can you produce naturally? And remember, when you watched How to Make Friends with Cortisol, we follow the natural rhythm of the body, so we don't want to overstimulate cortisol. You see, cortisol over here is a happy dude when he gets to do the same thing every day, and he works when he's supposed to work. So he does two things. He'll come out to play when you exercise. Yes, that's exactly what we want. And he'll come out to play from 6 o'clock in the morning till about 11, 12, just before lunchtime there. And then he's supposed to drop off, and then DHEA is supposed to continue to be made and put into that bank so you can tap into DHEA and make new testosterone after you lift weights at the gym, right? So the next video we're going to watch is all about these omega hormones, right? This is a good one. I'm going to show you how to fix this omega problem once and for all. And have you picked up my book on Amazon? I would absolutely love it if you want to learn more about this. And I'm just about to write I've already written it, but I'm just getting it edited now about exactly what we've been talking about here. So my book largely speaks to what I'm speaking about now, but it goes into more depth about system 1, the neuromodulators, and getting all those systems optimized and happy. In the next video too, we're going to talk about sleep. And as we know from How to Make Cortisol our friend, it's extraordinarily important. And I'm going to walk you through what you see on screen there. So I did a test, right? I did a test, and that's the results. And I had 2.4 standard drinks. I had some Western slave food chocolate, and I had a chemical bar, and basically it wiped out my sleep, even though I thought that I slept okay. I woke up in the morning, I felt okay, but I could not focus. It took me so long to get my brain back online. I was yawning a little bit, I was doughy, my brain was just not working properly. And if you continue to do that, you repeat that. So your testosterone will be low. And as we spoke to in the first video about neuromodulators like dopamine, serotonin, they're always going to be low. Your brain won't be cleared out. But on the other side of that table there, or that screen there, when you select for A and B-grade androgenic food, completely different game. Your genes, your body, your pathways, your energy pathways, your performance pathways, your hormonal pathways, the 5 hormonal systems are being fed, and they are thriving. Health and happiness.